It's Friday, August 8th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Thank goodness it's Friday. Boy, I'm totally excited because New Media Expo is just around the corner. We'll be talking a little bit about that, but I got a great show for you lined up tonight. Lots of great tech news. Strap in. Here it comes. Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii, from the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Oahu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Again, my name is Todd Cochran. I want to welcome you to the Geek News Central podcast. For those of you checking out for the very first time, make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content over there. Of course, check out the archive podcast available via the podcast link. Sign up for our newsletter so you get the show notes delivered directly to your inbox immediately following the show. Now, speaking of the newsletter, I did have a voicemail from a gal saying, hey, Todd, please unsubscribe me from your podcast. And you know what? We don't subscribe anyone to the podcast. It's all voluntary. So if you have gotten subscribed to the podcast and you didn't leave me an email, so I didn't know any idea how to look you up, there's an unsubscribe button at the bottom of the email. We comply, of course, with all the the email spam rules and everything. So you can unsubscribe yourself. And if someone subscribed you to the newsletter without your knowledge, hey, drop me an email. Let me know. That's not cool. I'd be more than happy to remove anyone from the list. You know, there's thousands of you that get the newsletter, of course, twice weekly. And, of course, that newsletter contains the show notes for this show. Of course, it's the same exact information that's on the website via the podcast link. And every once in a while I put a few tidbits in there. But if you're not signed up, again, go ahead and get signed up for that. We got a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm up live on Ustream as well. So actually started here a little bit early tonight for my recording time here in Hawaii. It's actually 11 p.m., a little after 11 p.m. Pacific. It's 8 p.m. here in Honolulu. So those of you that are up on the Ustream stream, welcome to the show, and hope that you enjoy the podcast tonight. And I'll be changing camera views from time to time, but for now, just going to update on what's going on here. Hey, just for everyone's information, we are still waiting for test results from my wife's father. He is, just like any person facing a life and death situation, he is has good days and bad days. But we're hoping that the test results will be here in the next few days. And of course, we've got our fingers crossed on that. Hey, I do want to go ahead and award the awareness campaign winner. Now, I promised to do that on the last show, and I've actually went through, and before I got started tonight, I did went to randomizer.com, and I picked out, actually we had about around 30, I think it was 32 or 33 websites that actually wrote reviews on Geek News Central during the month of July, and I randomized the entries, and the winner of the $250 goes to Todd Sinclair. So I want to congratulate him. Todd, send me your email with a PayPal account, and I'll PayPal your $250, my friend. Hey, I got an email from one of our longtime listeners, and as you know, on the last show, I actually did the randomizer to give away the 2 OLPC laptops that finally came in. Those are the ones that were stolen, and picked 2 people from our list, and lo and behold, I get an email from one of the listeners that says, hey, Todd, you actually drew names for that back on show number 358. And I was like, I did? So what I did is I went back to show number 358, and sure enough, I had drawn 2 names for that. Now, I don't know where the disconnect happened, but I've had one extra OLPC laptop here. One got shipped, and one never got shipped because I never got a response from the listener. So the 2 that came in, I have a total of 3 OLPC laptops here. So what I think, and Tom Watt, if you're listening, please email me and let me know if you received a laptop, one of these OLPC laptops back in March. Now, Jeffrey Thomas, I don't think you got one. You're the one that actually let me know about that. But I think I had mailed one to Tom. I'm hoping I did. So what I'm going to do is, no matter what, people are going to get their laptops. And if it turns out that Tom did not get his, and we'll do some sort of a makeup here to, I don't know how I'm exactly going to work this, but Tom, if you're listening, drop me an email, please. And of course, Jeffrey, Susabel, and can't remember who was the actual other winner on the last show. I will go ahead and we'll make this right. And when everybody's a winner here, no matter what, even if I screw up. So that's the main that's the main thing. I'm fighting a cough here tonight. Before I started the show, I was just like hacking a lung out. And because I'm live up tonight on Ustream, I can't do my normal stop and rewind. So anyway, I apologize on being totally screwed up, but I'll get it all figured out, and then we'll get them distributed. But Tom Watt, if you are listening, please drop me an email, and use the email address if you can that you used with your PayPal donation. And I will, basically, I've been going back through my records trying to find if I shipped one to you, and I just can't find that particular email. I usually dump that stuff after it's all done to get rid of it and out of my queue. But hey, show 400 is coming up, and boy, oh boy, I'm just sitting around trying to plan what to do for show 400, and it's definitely a show that you are not going to want to miss. If you are able to, we'd love to have you watch live, and if you want to make an excuse and stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning if you're on the East Coast, I would encourage you to do so. It should be a lot of fun. But those of you that are on the West Coast, you'll definitely be able to watch the 400 show live as well. Irregardless, we're going to have a lot of fun with that, and we'll be reminiscing and talking about where we've been, really, since October 2004. Well, yes, New Media Expo, lots of stuff going on. We're really excited about where we're headed with that. We've got a couple of product announcements, and my team has just been fabulous. Everyone's been working really hard, and I think we're all set. I think we're done with all of our flyers. We've got them all printed, shipped. I've got some of the stuff here that I need to ship that's going in FedEx tomorrow. Going to be sending out monitors and banners and all the stuff that you have to have for a successful trade show. But I want to make you aware of a couple of things we're doing at Raw Voice. Now, we haven't announced it yet, but some podcasters caught wind of it. On Monday, and you're listening to this show, you're going to get a little early sneak peek at this. If you're a WordPress user, we have created, I guess what best way to term it is a fully functional but lightweight podcast plugin. We're calling it PowerPress, the Blueberry PowerPress podcast plugin. And if you go over to blueberry.com/PowerPress, you can download this podcast plugin. Now, if you are a PodPress user, this may not be something that you'd want to utilize. But if you're new and thinking about using, starting a podcast, we've made this plugin very, very simple. We've made it to really integrate well with our publishing service over there. And that was the primary reason for putting it together. We'd actually gotten some feedback in the podcast mailing list. People say, "Oh, it's lightweight and it doesn't have all the features of PodPress." Well, we spent a week doing the code, and I think PodPress is now 2 years old. So we've got all the functionality. I mean, 100% of the functionality that PodPress has, minus the statistics. We're actually going to add a second player, I believe, to it because some people said they didn't like the player we had chosen. But definitely check it out, blueberry.com/PowerPress for those of you that are WordPress users. Matter of fact, if you're using PodPress, we have a little import routine where you can import your settings, and really you can see how easy it really is to use. Now, another thing we've been working on real hard, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek tonight, is that, one thing when we released our podcast publishing and hosting accounts, or actually our service at Raw Voice or on Blueberry, we decided, it's always been my approach that we need to be able to allow podcasters to have 100% control of their show pages, so that basically give them the ability to build their own branding, right? So what I want you to do, and those of you that are online right now on Ustream, you guys can go over to Berrycast, www.berrycast.com, and you'll see a new page. And this is basically our blogging, default blogging template that we're going to be using over there. We've got 6 or 7 templates people can choose from. So if people are hosting with us, they can have their own domain name and basically point at their podcasting page. And what's really happened here with this, and what I think is important, is that before you would go to blueberry.com/your show name, or your keyword would bring you to your landing page. Well, now you can also, for those that are actually publishing and hosting clients with us, you can actually go to your keyword.blueberry.com, or you can actually put your own domain name in the system, make a few changes on your DNS, and it will actually route into a page like you would see at berrycast.com. Now, the only thing we're missing on this page right now, and something that's going to get added tomorrow, is our commenting section. So really what we have done is we've taken the raw voice generator from being a complete 100% social media platform, having all of the ability to syndicate data, publish data, but we also have now, it's really truly a blogging new media platform where people can have their own individualized website pages. And we're really proud of what we've accomplished here with this. And again, you go to the website, go to the webpage, and it's basically going to look just like a regular web page. So hopefully you guys will like what we've done. And of course, we're always looking for feedback. Actually, getting some feedback from the people that are on Ustream, saying I'm actually having a little bit of choppiness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the picture quality down, and hopefully that improves it a little bit over there for all of you, so that we're not pushing so much bandwidth. Okay, what else have I got for everyone? Let me look at my little list here. New Media Expo. Yeah, we're going to be in booth 211, I think, is the booth number. Please stop by and see us in Vegas. And if you're within striking distance, hey, come on down. This is the event of the year. You can meet the rock stars in podcasting. You can check out all the new media companies. It's like one big family reunion. We love working or going into the community podcamps and seeing people there in their local community. But Vegas is like our big event. The podcamp, it used to be Podcast Expo, now it's New Media Expo. It's really our big event of the year, and we hope that those of you that are in striking distance, even if you're a listener, come on down. Come on down and hang out with us. It's fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Vegas is, relatively inexpensive, easy to get into. So, again, that starts next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So even if you just come down for Saturday and see us for a little while, please do so. We look forward to seeing everyone in Las Vegas next week. But I will be doing a regular show on Tuesday. Tuesday's show release will be up. Like normal, but there will be no Friday show. Okay, next week, no Friday show, just so you know that. But show 400 will be on the Tuesday, not a week from today, a week from Tuesday, I guess, is the best way to say that. So, anyway, that's what we got for news. Hey, let's take care of a little business here. If y'all know, GoDaddy's a sponsor here. And if you're looking for domain names, dedicated servers, virtual dedicated servers, shared hosting accounts, really, GoDaddy has what you need. Get over to GoDaddy.com, pick up those types of services, and when you get to the checkout counter, you'll want to use that promo code TODD. That'll save you 10% on your order. Geek5 will save you 15% on orders of $20 or more. Todd20, this is the best one. Todd20 will save you 20% on 1 year shared hosting accounts. And, of course, we want to thank GoDaddy for being a continued sponsor here at the Geek News Central podcast. Hey, on a week from, I guess 2 weeks from Saturday, we're going to be having a Tech Podcast Roundtable. Of course, that's sponsored by GoToMeeting. We're going to be talking about everything about New Media Expo. So it should be a lot of fun, and you guys will be able to get the inside scoop. what's been happening there. We'll be talking about all kinds of new products and services I'm sure people are going to be releasing. But really, the easiest online meeting service, GoToMeeting, just got easier. If you haven't tried GoToMeeting, now's the time because the new version of GoToMeeting has fully integrated voice over IP. With this new total audio feature, you have more audio options by being able to conference through a phone or the web. Save time, save money, and be more efficient. Hold an online meeting with GoToMeeting. Try GoToMeeting free for 30 days. Visit GoToMeeting.com/tech podcast. That's GoToMeeting.com/tech podcast for a free, no credit card required 30-day trial. All right, I think that's it for just regular updates. Got a lot of stuff for you guys in the tech side, but there was a couple of things I found that blew me away, and there was an article on Gizmodo talking about slow motion. It was actually a slow motion lightning video, and it was pretty impressive. It really was. I looked at it a couple of times and I thought, oh my goodness, look at this. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know what kind of camera they used, but it's unlike anything I've ever seen in a lightning capture. So I'll have that linked up in the show notes, of course, so you'll be able to check that out. And good start-off article by Gizmodo. Now, one thing that has been making the rounds in the news space over the last couple of days is a lot of stuff going on with iPhone. And I probably have got 4 or 5 things tonight that's stacked in amongst the material that I want to talk about. But the first thing was over the past week, a app showed up on the iPhone App Store that was a $1,000 plug-in that was nothing more than basically an image. It was an image with a red pentagon on it, and they were charging $1,000 for it. Now here's the weird thing. It was just a picture to put on the front of your iPhone. All right, it was an app that kind of make it look cool, and it really isn't even that fancy of a picture. But 8 iPhone owners apparently joined an elite clan and purchased the program for $1,000. 2 in France, 6 in the United States. Oh, I'm going to tell you what. If they were that crazy to spend that kind of money, I tell you what, I have something to sell them. Yes, I do. I have something to sell them, and they should come talk to me. They should. Hey, those of you that are up on Ustream, how does the video look? Someone put something up in the chat. I'd like to know how the stream is faring at this point. So, as I'm going to move on here through the content, we'll cover some of these other strange things going on with the iPhone and some stuff that's actually been popping up. One of the things that was really made a ruckus today was that hackers are claiming, and of course I think this has been vetted pretty well to be a truthful article at this point, is that Apple can really get into your iPhone. Apparently the iPhone is calling home to mama and checking on iPhone apps that are quote unquote supposed to be unauthorized, and Apple can actually shut down iPhone apps within your phone remotely. So, I don't know how you feel about this, but imagine you've got a phone, you paid this money for it, you're buying applications at the App Store, and yet the folks at Apple can still reach into your phone. It's a little disturbing, isn't it? I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's not good. It really isn't. And with all the other issues people have been having with the iPhone rebooting uncontrollably, and people having to rebuild their iPhones. And one guy has been through 2 phones, and he has had to rebuild his phone like 26 times. I'd like to know what this guy's doing, really. He must be doing something that's pretty fancy. But obviously this launch has not went as well as the original launch, and but just to go find out now that Apple can reach into your phone, it just makes you say, it definitely does that for me at least. Okay, let's go ahead and move off Apple a little bit here, and we're going to talk a little bit about. Any of you guys ever read The Onion? How many of you that listen to the show actually know what The Onion is? I'm going to talk a little about a headline they have on one of their stories. Citing poor condition, citing poor conditions, China refuses to send delegation to Olympics. In an 11th hour move that shocked the international athletic and political communities alike, the Chinese Olympic team announced Wednesday that it will not be attending the Olympiad in Beijing due to shocking, shameful, and ultimately dangerous environmental conditions in the host city. Now, if you ever read The Onion, you all know that they are a satire site, but this is a pretty good one. This is a good one by the folks over there, and I thought I would put that up. You heard about the cycle team, right? They showed up in Beijing and they had masks on, and they were going through the airport with these black masks that were over their faces. I guess they apologized to the IOC. You know what? Why apologize? It's true. They got a mess over there, and I wouldn't apologize. It was a nice political statement by him, that's for sure. Okay, moving on here. Mozilla has announced a plugin called Snow, and this is a very interesting plugin that they have created here, in that they're going to be integrating RSS, chat. They've got a number of different features built into this RSS reader, a whole bunch of cool stuff. What they're trying to do then is it looks like they're really working towards making Mozilla more than just a browser platform. It's got a search-based interface for email, message retrieval, just a whole plethora of things that it's doing. You can you can go on web discussion forums, work within social networks. So I've played with it for a little while today. It's still got its bugs, and it's not really innovative at this time in actually what it's doing in the RSS space. But I have to applaud the folks at Mozilla Labs for releasing Snow. It's spelled SNOWL. Okay, I found a website. It's called Solar Cycle 24. It's at solarcycle24.com, and all I can say is it's cool. It's got images of the sun from a variety of sensors, and it updates all the time. As you refresh the page every so often, an image will update. We got to check this out. This is really, really cool, and I think this is just going to go to my regular visit list just to check it out. So anyway, check that out at solarcycle24.com, and of course have the link up in the show notes. Now tonight, if you've got any comments on the show, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, or call the voicemail hotline at 619-342-7365. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Hey, the solar eclipse that happened on August 1st. Some of you got to see it, some of you didn't. But no matter what, there's always people out there in the area with good photography equipment that are able to capture great pictures. There's an amazing picture on Astronomy Picture of the Day, and it was taken by a team that had taken the Trans-Siberian Railway to somewhere in Russia, obviously. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of the city they went, but it's a pretty amazing picture. It really is, and it just goes to show you that you can see an amazing amount of detail coming off the sun when you're in a total solar eclipse. It's a pretty remarkable picture. It actually has replaced the picture that's been on my desktop here for a couple of weeks, and I actually got some pretty cool reaction from it from some guys that saw it today when I had my laptop open during a meeting. So anyway, check that out. Astronomy Picture of the Day. It'll be up in the show notes. Next article is a pretty good one. Have you guys ever heard about 6 degrees of separation? And I think, if you've traveled at all in the world or went places, have you ever just ran into people that you knew, or ran into people that town, or I'm from a very small town, and when you're out traveling around the world and you're in a city someplace remote, you would never expect to meet someone from your hometown. Now, some of you are from big cities, but Microsoft did a study. Microsoft Research did, and they studied a total of 30 billion instant messages sent by over 250 million people in June of 2006, and they determined that we are in fact all linked by only 6.6 degrees of separation. And this was kind of like I almost thought it was like an urban legend that no matter where you are in the world, you're 6 people away from knowing someone, and this is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool write up. And the origin of the 6 degrees of separation spawns from a study that was done back in 1969, where they had tasked 300 people in the U.S. state of Nebraska to send a letter to someone in Boston through acquaintances. And what ended up happening was that most of the letters did not reach their intended recipients, those letters that did arrive found to arrive with an average of 6.2 degrees of separation from the sender. And they really didn't think it was scientific at the time. But now with this big, huge test that Microsoft has done, it's pretty cool, and it's pretty involved. But what do you guys think about that? About the 6.6 degrees of separation versus the 6.2 that they came up with in 1969. It just has to be at this point that I think they pretty much have got that theory nailed down for sure. All right, Sling Player 2.0. This was something that was supposed to come out a long time ago. Actually saw them. I actually had them talking about it at Consumer Electronics Show in 2007, and it looks like we're finally going to be able to get a taste of this in a public beta that has been released. So this is pretty cool. The Sling Player is. You're going to be able to watch different channels on TV. You're going to have, there's a little bit of a DVR function into it. There's a little bit of a tweaked UI. There's a new skin for it. Here's something that's going to be cool for those of you that are Slingbox users. Finally, it's going to, the death of the Slingbox Finder ID in favor of actually user accounts. So you're just going to have to log in. That's the only thing you're going to have to do. So pretty cool on that. And I'm sure many of you that have Slingboxes or maybe don't, hey, go check the Sling Player out. And I think they're going to make a pretty big splash with this if the beta turns out to be as successful as they think it's going to be. All right, SpaceX. Well, the Falcon 1 mishap. Obviously Scotty didn't get beamed up as we talked about on the last show, but the SpaceX people have determined what happened during their launch, and what it was that essentially they had a little. Well, I guess for a better word, a technical malfunction where, and here's in rocket scientist terms, it said that they had a longer than expected thrust decay transient of the new Merlin 1C regeneratively cooled engine. All right, is there anybody out there that can give us a layman's explanation of this? And they say, "Oh, this was just an anomaly. We're not going to make any changes, and we're going to try flight number 4 here next month. So we will see how they do." They haven't had much success, have they? There was something I was going to talk about, and I can't remember what I was going to say, but it reminded me when I saw this previous article. Isn't that terrible? It'll probably come to me before the end of the show. How many of you live in an area where you have one of those quick pay things in your car? We don't have them here in Hawaii. We should. I kind of wish we almost had toll roads at time because of the way the traffic is. But in California, they use a system called Fast Track. And apparently, at the Black Hat Conference, the folks over there really have exposed some significant security vulnerabilities in California's Fast Track toll system. And really, what is going on here is that the transponders that you buy, that you slap into your vehicles and where you put them up in the window so you can drive through those, basically those gates, and basically you just get billed your credit card for all of the, going through the toll areas. What they found out was that the RFID chip in it was really not, wasn't secure. And what that meant was that that anyone with ill will and an RFID reader could wander through a parking lot and pull all kinds of information off that transponder that's in your car, and then They have what they're calling unauthenticated over-the-air upgrading. So in other words, your actual fast-track device could be upgraded, and the tag could be forced to take on a new ID. In other words, if someone really had a vengeance out there, they could reprogram a lot of vehicles, and someone could end up with a big bill, and your bill would zero out. So this is not good, and it's only going to be a matter of time now before someone tries to exploit this. Okay, let me go ahead and move on to the next article. I'm going to put a little chat message out here to everyone. And hopefully everyone that's on the video will respond. Moving on here, the pawnage tool. Pawnage tool 2.0.2 is ready. So jailbreakers, go ahead and rev up your engines. Now, it's not the iPhone 3G unlock yet, but those of you that have held off updating your iPhone to the 2.0.1 firmware, you're going to be able to get some better stability by being able to do that with the pawnage 2.0.2 version. And that's courtesy of the folks over at Engadget. All right. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It was in reference to the talking about CES a little bit in the Sling Box. I put an announcement up on Geek News Central that I am now essentially once again in the sponsor search mode for the 2009 Consumer Electronics Show. Andy McCaskey and I have been talking. And we're going to definitely going to be going back out to Vegas for CES this year. And one thing that I found very interesting, and this may interest some of you that have never been to CES, let me get the dates for you. Because the new year is on a Thursday, what they have done is they've slid the 2009 Consumer Electronics Show to start on January 8th, which is a Thursday. So the show's going to run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is very interesting because I know what's going to happen. Thursday and Friday, actually, there's going to be some stuff pre-show probably Wednesday the 7th. And then on 8th and 9th, the show's going to be absolutely slammed. It's going to be a nightmare because all the business people are going to come out to the show for Thursday and Friday. Then Saturday, most of the business people will probably go home. So you'll be left you'll be left with kind of the core group of people that are there. So for those of us that are doing new media and going and interviewing companies, Saturday should be an absolute gold mine for getting around the show. And I'm sure Thursday and Friday will be a nightmare. But this is a prime opportunity for any of you that are going to be working that week and then want to, if you're within striking distance of Vegas, to come down on Saturday the 10th, stay in Vegas that night. Now, let me pre-warn you here. Hotel prices in Vegas during the Consumer Electronics Show are simply ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, you'll want to really look at your hotel reservations now if you're actually thinking about going out. But you'll be able to go out and basically sample the show for 2 days. You will not be able to see the entire Consumer Electronics Show in 2 days. It's just impossible. But you can pick those areas that you want to go to and actually get through the majority of the exhibits that you if you pre-plan. But anyway, we're looking for a sponsor for that. And if you are listening to the show and you are a company that is looking to get some massive exposure, I think we're close to the same numbers we had the previous year. Multiple millions of views on the different videos. Lots of course, thousands upon thousands of listens on all the audio programming. I think we did about 100 interviews last year. So good chance for some company here to get some major exposure. And of course, we'll be talking about you when we're at the show as well during our daily updates. How many of you have how many of you had kids that have cell phones on your own cell phone plan? How many of you have gotten a bill from your cell phone company that about made you choke because your kid was using text messaging or calling someone overseas, or one of those bills that you got that was $5,000 instead of $120? Well, a man is being held on domestic violence charges for spanking his adult daughter. She was a 20-year-old young lady. She ran up a $5,000 cell phone bill. Now, instead of taking the phone away and canceling your service and basically saying, write me a check, he spanked her. And he's been arrested and charged with domestic violence. $5,000 cell phone bill. If my 20, first of all, why is a 20-year-old daughter still on their parents' cell phone plan? Hello. I can see maybe up to 18, but after that, sorry, they're on their own. But $5,000. I can see why this guy got upset. But oh boy, can you imagine? $5,000. Okay, moving on here. How many of you have got a mouse that will take your pulse? Well, you can buy a mouse now that will report your heart rate to your PC. So it tells when you're getting stressed out or, having when you're relaxed. I don't need my mouse to tell me when I'm upset. I don't know, all of us can pretty much monitor ourselves, but there's a mouse out now. It's called the Pulse mouse, and you can buy this online now, and it'll track your heartbeat. Here you are, you're working on your PC, and all of a sudden it says your heartbeat 0. You're supposed to be dead. I think would worry a little bit, but this is available, and of course the link will be up in the show notes. Rumors are running rampant here that Google is looking to acquire Sprint for WiMAX. Sprint had a quarterly reporting where they lost a little over 900,000 subscribers in the last quarter, and lost a bunch of money. Their performance is better than it has been, but people seem to be leaving Sprint in droves. It hasn't helped the eVideo speed. The eVideo speed's been about the same, so you think with as many people leaving the service that the capacity would always have a little bit faster because there wouldn't be as many people on each cell. But if Google buys Sprint to get its hands on WiMAX, wow, that'd be big. It really, really would be big. Now, speaking of Google, I wrote an article over on Geek News Central that I think many of you should pay attention to, and you should pay attention to the reference article. And I entitled it, Will Your Trust in Google Really Mess You Up Someday? And I actually entitled it a little different on the website, but I want to keep the show as G as possible. But there was a story by Chris Brogan, who's a colleague of his came back from lunch to find his Google account locked out. And it took him quite a while to get back into his Google account. So imagine, you go out to lunch, you've been working in Google Docs, you've got your email on maybe Google Apps or Gmail. You've been doing, all this stuff that Google has, all these services is tied to a single login. Your FeedBurner account. You go to the service, you try to log in, and guess what? You can't get in because all of a sudden Google has either banned you or for whatever reason had a glitch. How would your life change? Well, we've worked in the cloud a lot. My team does, and we have a lot of documents on Google Apps, but we leave nothing up there that is not saved as a normal file on a hard drive someplace. Now, generally what will happen is whoever's working on the document is responsible for bringing the source document back into a desktop someplace where it's saved. I've also, on my end at least, even though I use Google Apps, I have all my email downloaded, and it's actually in Thunderbird, so that if something ever would happen and I would get locked out, at least my 25,000 emails are on a hard drive on a couple of machines because I use IMAP. What would happen to you? And I actually use IMAP with the download feature, so I actually download the emails, so I don't have to go out to the cloud and get them. So I've put up some simple rules that I think everyone should follow. If you're using Google or any other company, for that matter, if you're using Amazon S3, whoever you're using to keep your data stored, keep as much data as you can on your local machine or keep it backed up on a separate hard drive. Sure, it's going to be okay to work out there, but just keep that data backed up. never let Google do what your local applications can do. Why? If you're working alone, why would you want to use Google Docs when you could use Open Office or can use Microsoft Word? Use whatever you can do local. Do it local, especially if you're not working in a collaborative environment. If you want to share something, you can do it on your desktop, then put it up there and send it out and share it. Always have a backup plan just in case the worst happens. And this guy got lucky, got back into his account. But never leave mission critical data on a Google site. I read where Chris and him are working on a book together in Google Docs. I'm like, are they crazy? Are they crazy? It's just, I just can't imagine doing that. Trusting your data to a third party. Now Google, let's be honest. Google's probably not going to screw up, but for this guy it did, and I guess for a day or more he was down and out, and that would worry you, wouldn't it, if all your documents were on there or on a cloud somewhere? So back up, people. You know my plan. Every month I go to the safety deposit box and I take 2 hard drives and I put them in the safety deposit box. I take the other 2 hard drives out and bring them home, and then they get updated, and I always have my data backed up to that media. And living in Hawaii, we get, for an occasion, knock on wood here, we haven't had any recently. Actually, we've got a tropical depression out here, but we've got typhoons and hurricanes that can affect us. So, what you've seen houses flatten, make sure your data is backed up someplace safely. And if you're using the cloud, that's cool, but I always think people should have a hard copy of their media. Okay, let me go ahead and move on here. Talked enough about that. How many of you in the audience have a Sub-Zero fridge? My wife saw this today, and she actually had a piece of newspaper ripped out. And she said, honey, that's the next refrigerator I want. I saw the price on these things. Amazing price. So they're beautiful, but boy, are they expensive. But I did a little searching around. And there's a Sub-Zero fridge that uses a NASA air purification technology to keep foods fresh. And it basically replenishes the air in the refrigerator every 20 minutes, eliminating bacteria, odors, and microscopic contaminants. But this definitely looks like a super high-tech fridge. And if any of you've got one, I'm jealous already. They're quite beautiful pieces of technology, if you can say that for a refrigerator. But my wife is like, this is what I want next. And I looked at the price tag. I was, oh my gosh, honey, how about a GE or a Whirlpool? I saw a picture today. It's a 3D image of, it's basically what they're calling it. It's amazing DSI brain scanning, visualizes your mind's inner working in 3D. Now, I don't know how they did this, but they basically have got an image of the brain and all of its electrical mapping, and it looks remarkable. And what kind of struck me as when I looked at the very first picture in this 3D image of the inner workings of the brain, it almost said like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. That kind of looks familiar. And even though I don't think it's possible for us to visualize how our brain works and how it intercommunicates, the image somehow, when you look at it, really just makes sense. And it's a quite remarkable picture. I'll have the link up in the show notes. They've got multiple views of the inner workings and the interconnections, but it's we are some complicated animals. I'm going to tell you, we really are. The way our brains are wired is just completely amazing. And I think once you see this image, you'll tend to agree, and read through the article and of course the linked stuff too. So I have that up in the show notes for you. Over on GigaOM, new report says tiered broadband bad, but also unlikely. So I don't know what to think about this. With them, with all this talk of the broadband companies like Time Warner putting in bandwidth limits. We've already got companies that are Frontier out in New York who put in a 5 gig limit, and so I don't know if I agree with this report by the Free Press who cast doubt on the theory of network congestion and why ISPs are going to be putting in bandwidth limitations. I just don't see how they can say that the companies are not going to do this. Every indication is that by this time next year, the majority of us that are on Time Warner, also different cable providers, I think we're all going to be facing bandwidth limitations. I just can't see them not moving forward with that. As much as I hate it, as much as it just makes me want to reach out and strangle somebody, I can't see that they're not going to do this. But their reasoning is that with AT&T and the other providers talking about plans to implement the DOCSIS 3.0 protocol, which basically what it does is it's going to increase the amount of speed you get out of cable modems, then why would they put in these, be implementing bandwidth caps? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is a reality? Do you think this report is probably more accurate than what I'm predicting? Do you think that you're going to be, essentially, I know those of you that live outside the United States are already dealing with this, and you've been dealing with it forever, but we've been pretty spoiled here in the United States in that most of us, for a large part, don't have bandwidth limitations. Now, if you are out doing tons and tons of peer-to-peer, you may get a letter from your cable company saying, hey, you're, one of our high bandwidth users. But for the majority of us, we just do what we want to do, and we don't warrant getting that type of a response from these companies. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this report and their prediction. Love to hear what you guys think. Call the voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. Those of you that are on Ustream, you can see I changed the view on you. You are seeing the reflection of a basically glass that is behind me. So you guys were chatting on that and exactly what that is. There's basically an entertainment center behind me that I've had for years that I tried to get rid of when we moved last time, but my wife, being the smart lady she is, she brought it along with us, and now it's just chock full of of electronic gear and boxes and my little toys, and yes, it's got some very distracting glass that reflects. We'll have to get some black sheets or something up there for the show. Okay, a little bit of news out of Apple. And as to be predicted, every September Apple seems to have some sort of an announcement, whether or not they're refreshing iPods or updating iMacs or whatever it may be. But it appears that history is going to probably prove this to be a likely event to happen again in September. So those of you that are hardcore Mac fans, you can look forward to probably some refresh products here in the next month or so when they announce in September these new products. And we'll see what they have planned. Of course, they think that Apple's going to be unveiling a new industrial design for both the MacBook and MacBook Pro, and they may even be entering the $999 price point on the MacBook. I did see an article, and I probably should have linked it up in the show notes tonight. I saw an article earlier in the week where once again there was price comparisons done between Macs and PCs. And have you all noticed, I was in a Best Buy 2 weeks ago, and I really haven't been looking at laptop prices. I was like, wow. I mean, I think I said wow about 20 times. The prices of laptops are like, it just unbelievably cheap, and good ones. 4 gigs of RAM, big hard drives, Wi-Fi, cameras built in. It comes with a suite of tools, and it's $600, $700, $800. I'm like, and powerful machines, and by all the major brands. I think the last laptop I bought, let's see, how much did I pay? The Dell. The Dell was, it was over $1,000. And then the HP I had before, that was like $1,700. So it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what the price is for laptops these days. So of course, big comparison of what the differential and prices is based upon the hardware specs. We're not going to talk about the OS, because we'll argue about that all night long. But I think Apple's going to have to do something here because the prices keep going south on PCs, and and people are very conscious of money that they're spending right now. So I think that I don't know how long are these prices going to be able to stay like this. Are these companies subsidizing and the sales of their products? I don't get it. I really don't. But some great deals out there if you're looking for a laptop. I actually talked with my mom, and she's probably due for a tech refresh. So I'm probably going to be on the prowl to find her a new laptop, something that she can take with her whenever she travels, and also have available at the house. She's loving her broadband, by the way, and we haven't been able to get enough time on the phone. This is her very, very busy season for her business, but I want to get a speed test up to give you guys a report of what kind of speed she has on this wireless service she has gotten. They actually put an antenna on her roof, so I'm looking forward to going home and being able to scrub through all that stuff and see what she's actually got. Okay, let me go ahead and move on here to the next article. The folks over at BitTorrent Incorporated have laid off 12 of 55 employees, and apparently their plans to monetize BitTorrent has not done real well. Best Buy was in negotiations with them with a rumored $15 million deal that apparently fell apart. And what they're thinking is that a recent FCC ruling on file sharing has basically got some of the companies scared, and this is what's caused some of their deals to fall apart. Now, I think they're really on the right track here because they were looking at putting into play a way for them to compete with Limelight, Akamai, and those, and having a CDN type service but distributed via peer-to-peer. I'd love to see it because the cost of bandwidth is still relatively high no matter how you slice it up. Okay, those of you that are on the Ustream feed, hey, I got a side video shot for you there. So hope you enjoy that view. And we'll kind of switch it back and forth here as we go through the content tonight. Over at the big hacker conference in Vegas, we already talked a little bit about it. There was a little bit of hacking going on by some reporters in an area that wasn't supposed to be hacked in. And a couple of reporters got booted for the conference for hacking. So, here you got the hackers who, they have fair game in certain areas, but certain areas they're restricted. And here they are. They're the actual ones. Reporters were the actual ones got caught hacking and got booted from the conference in an area wasn't supposed to. So it's pretty comical. I'm not going to go into full details of it. You guys can check it out in the show notes. Very good article over on in New York Times talking about how fingerprint tests shows what a person has touched. Well, not only if you go in and do something you shouldn't in somebody's property, or you end up on the end of an investigation arm. Not only can they lift your fingerprint now off of wherever you've had it laid, they can also now detect if you've touched drugs, explosives, poisons. They can actually do an analysis just by a thumbprint, chemical analysis. It's pretty amazing, and they're using mass spectrometry to do that. So this is pretty. I'm like, wow. They can, just imagine that. You have a room full of prints, and someone does some sort of terrorist attack, and then, they're trying to figure out who this person was that maybe laid a bomb or something. This guy lays a latent print, and they're able to pick that up and then actually somehow detect the original trace elements in an explosive. Wow. That's That's getting pretty fancy. That's like getting to the point where some of the TV shows have always stretched the truth a little bit, but where it's actually the real deal. All right, lots of news, of course, coming out of the Phoenix Mars lander. The folks over in Tucson are really, really happy about all the milestones and all the things that they have been able to accomplish so far. Right now, September 30th is the planned last day of the mission. And I was reading through a good article over on the TucsonCitizen.com. It's obviously a newspaper out of Tucson, Arizona, where it talks about all the highlights of the Mars lander. And the thing that really caught my attention was at the end of the article, Now you know that where the Mars lander is at, as winter approaches in Mars, this lander is essentially going to be encased in ice at some point. Now, obviously, the lander is not going to be in operation mode at that point because it'll be out of power. But what they're hoping is that when the lander gets froze in, they're going to try to resurrect the lander in the spring. And I thought this was pretty fascinating. Now, this is going to get cold up there, really, really cold. And I don't know what temperature they really have flight tested the lander to, but they're going to try to resurrect the lander after the Martian winter. And again, this thing is going to get encased in. They talked about what type of ice it is. It's not like normal ice that you have here when it gets cold, but pretty cool. Actually, it's frozen carbon dioxide. That's what it's going to be encased in. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the spring. But I'm sure they're going to have a lot of good science left to do on this. Hey, if you are an astronomy fan, one thing I want you to pay attention of on August 11th and 12th, the Parasite. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, so those of you that are astronomy fans, go ahead and sue me. But every few years we have a great meteorite shower. I can't say where I was, but there was back in 2001, I got to see a meteorite shower, this exact meteorite shower, sitting in an aircraft looking through NVGs, night vision goggles. It was the most amazing. It was amazing. I'm just going to tell you, you would not have been able to see this if you'd have been in a city or even in a country. But where I was flying at was so dark, and the night vision goggles were able to cause a luminancy of such that I could see all the meteorites coming in. And I mean, it was spectacular. I sit there with my mouth wide open for about an hour, and we normally would rotate, the people through the window. I was like, held a hand up. No, 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 I'm not moving. I wanted to see this. So if you get a chance and you can get in an area where you can see this, especially you got to get in somewhere where it's dark, okay? You got to get out of the cities. It's going to be amazing. It's going to peak over a couple of hours during the August 11th, 12th time frame. But it's really an amazing event. And if any of you have ever seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, just step outside and watch during those two particular days. All right, here. I'm at the end of regular content tonight. I've got a couple of voicemails to go through. And actually, I've only got one voicemail to go through because I have to. Let me go ahead and switch this back up to the other screen. And what I have is one voicemail from one of our longtime listeners. Again, there was a voicemail left, and she left her address and all kinds of stuff. I don't know who subscribed you to the newsletter, ma'am, but please, if you get the newsletter tonight, just hit that unsubscribe button. That'll take you off the mailing list. And please, please, let me know when you start getting them, and I'll go back through and pull some logs to see if I can figure out exactly what happened. But let me go ahead and play the first voicemail for you. Then I have a number of emails to go through, of course. Again, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Call the voicemail hotline at 619-342-7365. Those of you that are on Ustream, sorry, I still have failed to run a cable that is about that long from where the audio comes out to where I need to plug it in for you guys to hear the voicemail. You guys will have to actually listen to the recorded show to actually hear this, but I'll give you the synopsis when we get done playing it. This is a pretty long one, 2 minutes and 51 seconds. So those of you that are on Ustream, just hang. It's not the show's not over yet. Hey, Tom. Hey, thanks for the call, and thanks for all the good information on this DNS poisoning that's going on. And actually, Time Warner here in Hawaii is not yet patched. I don't know what their problem is, but it was actually talked about the actual in depth of the problem at the conference in Vegas, the hacker conference, Black Hat conference, and really it goes way beyond what anybody even originally thought. Not only is, and I think I talked about it in this previous show, I alluded to it, but they're actually saying that email can be affected, redirected. You could they can capture password resets. There's all kinds of bad stuff that can happen here. But the main thing is if you are running, if you have your DNS with a service, in other words, your ISP, and they haven't patched yet, you'll just never know. And again, I know the telltale signs that people should pay attention to with the SSL certificates, and actually go into an HTTP versus HTTPS page. But how many of us really look at that? I go to my browser. I pull down the little bookmark for my bank. It loads. I see the login. I log in. How many times have I actually looked and see if I've got the SSL certificate? Locked down at the bottom. How many times have I actually seen if I'm on HTTPS connection? Ever since this DNS thing started, I've been paying a lot more attention to it, but I don't think a lot of people are. But I know we have a bunch of Akamai. In other words, a lot of really Akamai in Hawaiian means basically attentive listeners of this show that have protected themselves from this in case your ISP hasn't patched. But again, OpenDNS.org is a great place to go to if you want to switch out your DNS provider for the short term while these companies are, these providers are working through their patching issue. I think the Black Hat conference, they said there was like 60%, 60% that was had been patched. So anyway, let me go ahead and move on here to the emails. Got an email from Thomas. He says, Todd, since you're always on the lookout for good links and always talking about gas prices, I thought you may find this link interesting. And it basically goes to autos.msn.com, and it goes to a website that's got a ASP script. You put in your zip code, it displays the gas price in your area. It works great for me. Hey, Tom, this is a good one. This was a good one. I filled up my gas at a gas station that had the cheapest gas in the area using this application. It worked, my friend, and I'll have this up in the show notes for everyone to use, of course. Also, as well, I got the email from Tom talking about the OLPC mix-up. Tom, thanks for bringing me that to my attention. Got an email from Chris. He says, hey, Todd, in response to your camera/security question, as the price of the kit is so low, I have a setup consisting of a DVR. It holds approximately 14 days of recording. Camera monitoring the rear of the house, side of the house, 2 cameras in front, a wireless camera that I use to internally watch my pets, and inside an insurance-grade home alarm, automatic external lights, and he says I have good locks fitted and a safe, anti-burglar paint, and other deterrents. Wow, that's impressive. All in all, I take home security very seriously. I don't know what it's like in Hawaii, but here in the UK, the police won't even turn out for simple home robbery or vehicle damage. Unlike the case you quoted, I don't think that it's appropriate to fit cameras in children's rooms. Yeah, I don't think so either. That was the weirdo that was doing that. But if I want, I can monitor departure/arrivals of my daughter via the front door camera recordings, but I haven't found this necessary. Once I had the camera set up, I showed the neighbors a still from the DVR so they could see the system wasn't invading their privacy. What is interesting is just how many people visit the front door during an average day for one reason or another, and I don't think it appropriate to capture these images of these people just in case. I'm a long-time listener. Keep up the great work. The show is a great source of news. Regards, Chris. And Chris, I can tell you a little secret about. I got my camera set up here, and just recently, and I was shocked by the number of people that came up by the house every day when we're not here. A great investment, and I'm actually going to put a proximity sensor out so that when someone comes too close to one area of the house, it's going to say, "Be aware, you're being recorded." if they don't see the camera. But usually the people see the camera. They look up and they see it. So that definitely is an attention getter. It really is. And people know, oh, I'm on camera. Oh, that's another deterrent. It's just seeing a camera makes people go, hmm. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. I got an email from Jean Franchot, and he says he's out of Quebec. And I apologize if I don't speak French, and I know I just probably made you mad, but you got an email from him. He says, you were recently talking about movies recording in your podcast number 397. This pushed me first to say what we are doing at home just now, and which is perfectly legal and soon could become illegal. I'm in Canada, so my situation may be different from the one in the USA. We have a PVR for over a year now, and we love it. No more cassette tapes to deal with, record for a long time, went away, etc. Its main purpose is to record regular shows and replay them whenever we want. We also record movies from time to time, but those are regular ones sent over the satellite connection we have. We can write to DVDs too, but we don't have much use for this other than some of the programs my son wants to replay again and again. Many of us are doing this. So far, so good. But in Canada, there's a bill here known as C-61, which will cause big trouble to all Canadian citizens who record TV programs to replay them a bit later. The extent of this bill will even render time shifting illegal. Michael Geist, a law professor at the University of Ottawa, has a great blog about this. This bill is becoming a big issue there. My feeling from all the reading so far is that this bill is becoming worse than the DMCA and other bills you may have in the USA. He also writes about anything related issues in IT. Very interesting blog. You can get his blog at michaelgeist.com. We've actually had Michael's website linked up here a couple of times. I do want to thank you for your email and your concern. Hey, let your fellow Canadians know about this, and get those in Quebec fired up, and sending letters to the people that you have elected, and let them know. This is the only way you're going to get this thing shut down, is if enough people scream out loud. I want to thank Keith for his little comedy clip that he sent me via email. That was very good. I want to thank you for that. Too long to read, but it was a good one nonetheless. Also got an email where actually it was from Keith again. He sent me some pictures of some landing strips that would make most people gasp. Keith, I actually landed in Wake Island a couple of times, so I've been on that runway. It's not as scary as it looks, but thanks for that. Also got an email from Wendy. She says, hey, Todd, you travel quite a lot. Can you tell me if airlines will permit the use of a cell phone if it's in airplane mode? I use my phone for podcast listening and love to listen while on the plane. Wendy, no sweat. Just go ahead and switch it into airplane mode. The airlines have never given me a problem with it. Just make sure you've got the airplane mode switched on, okay? All right, well, I think we're at the end of email comments here tonight, and actually wrapped up pretty fast for the show. And love to hear everybody's comments on tonight's commentary. Apologize for the coughing in your ear a couple of times. I would normally stop the recording and back up, but that would be a little weird for those of you that are on Ustream. And so anyway, it is what it is. But again, thanks to sponsors GoDaddy.com and GoToMeeting.com for being continued sponsors here at the show. And of course, big thanks and hello to all of the Ohana that are longtime subscribers to the show. I want to thank you guys for staying subscribed and keep all the great comments coming in. Again, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. I'll see you all on Tuesday. Everyone take care and aloha. All right, those of you that are on Ustream, I guess we had a little problem with the video tonight.